Welcome back into the Rowdy Studio. I'm Buzz Cutler. Bassmasters is sitting way down there.
Hi, everybody.
And in the middle, like the cream in the center of an Oreo, is Bob Pockrass from Steve Daly.
He likes that image.
Now, Bob.
Yes. Buzz.
You've had phone conversations with Trevor Bayne, with Jack Roush, right, about this whole Team Orders Michigas. Right. So where do you...
Upper Peninsula
Come on. You're a member of the tribe. You don't know what Michigas? Nonsense.
Oh, okay.
Come on. A fellow Red Sea pedestrian. I thought you were there with me.
Sorry.
So where do you come down on this whole team orders thing? Did they or didn't they?
I don't know. I think it's understood whether you have them or you don't.
Aha!
But
we agree, Bob Pockrass. We agree.
I don't even know what you're thinking, so don't say I agree with you before I agree with what you just said. I haven't even heard your opinion, and I've already forgotten what you said on the Rowdy podcast.
After the race, Trevor said they told me.
Wait. You said that Trevor said they told me. Apparently, that's what he said to Jeff Gordon. Did you hear him say that? Did you? I mean, this is the thing. After a race, guys say things, and sometimes they embellish, and I'm just still having trouble figuring out whether Trevor is now backtracking or whether he was embellishing.
Because he did take down a tweet.
Yes.
It wasn't that they told me, hey, you can't work with Jeff Gordon, or go tell him you're going to work with him and bell him so he gets a bad finish. Like, it wasn't any of that. It was just understood that if a Ford needed help, then I'd help him. Just like if a Hendrick car needed help and Jeff Gordon was on my butt, then all of a sudden, Mark Martin and Jimmy were drafting, and Jimmy blew up, and Mark Martin would need his help, And that's just, I think that's understood ethics in our sport.
I think Trevor Bayne didn't like this kind of racing. He didn't like the fact that he felt he had to give up his position with Jeff Gordon.
He might have cost himself a position or two.
Undoubtedly he did, which is ironic because Roush told you he specifically told Reagan and Biffle not to sacrifice themselves for the chase drivers.
Well, I didn't tell him anything specifically about the two-car drafts. I did talk, since I was aware that it was Craig Biffle's intention to race with Carl if he could, and it was David Reagan's intention to race with Matt if he could. I made it a point to put myself in front of both of them on the weekend and tell them individually that I expected them, for their sponsors and for the teams that they were with, to try to win the race, not to be in support of the chasers, Matt and Carl, to the point that they would jeopardize their chance for personal success or their team success or success on the racetrack.
I think what he meant was don't finish second if you think you can win, is what Roush pretty much told them. He said, if
you're together, and if you got a shot at the win, go.
Right, that you owe it to yourself and your sponsors to go for the win. But when you talk about sacrificing, I mean, granted, Gordon has a strong car and has won 2 gazillion restrictor plate races.
That many?
Yeah, that many. But Kenseth had led 20-something laps of that race. I mean, Kenseth wasn't like
Kenseth was willing to race up at the front and had a good car and had a good partnership.
Exactly. I mean, Trevor did say that he felt like he was giving up something going with Kenseth. But I don't necessarily think that you could automatically say, well, that was a horrible move, even before it happened.
And I think we agree, Bob, in that that's kind of what I would expect anyway, and I would have expected it if the conditions had been reversed. If Jimmy Johnson had been racing at the front all day and lost Dale Jr. and started to drift back, and Jeff Gordon had promised Trevor Bayne he would work with him and saw Jimmy coming back, I would expect Jeff to try to help Jimmy. Is that a fair comparison? Is that fair to say?
I think it's fair to say.
So that's
the question is, how long do you have to draft with somebody when you tell them that you're supposed to draft with them? I mean, is it a half a lap, a full lap, quarter of a lap? I mean, things change, and I agree that it's kind of understood that if you're helping somebody and then you see one of your teammates hung out to dry, that you go help them. Now, how much did Jack tell those guys that they had to do and what they had to do, and how much, Ford says that, they told their drivers, hey, if you can help a Ford, help a Ford. David Gilliland said, look, it's not that I can't help Tony Stewart, it's that that's not supposed to be my plan going into the race.
Now, lost in all of this Roush firestorm is the fact that Paul Menard was pushing Tony Stewart, right, whereas Jeff Burt and Clint Boyer were up ahead, and then there are these rumblings, well, did Paul Menard lift or back off a little bit so he wouldn't push Tony Stewart past Jeff Burt and
Tony
Clint
Stewart
Boyer?
says that Paul was told that he can push Tony except can't push him past the two RCR guys in front.
But RC said, I told Paul to push Tony to the front and try to get the win.
You know.
So is it a he said, she said?
It is, and you know, you just, unless you can listen to all 43 radios, and it's one of those things you're never going to really know. But let's just say actions speak louder than words, right? So you would say that somewhere Bain got the idea, like, hey, he probably should help Kenseth, and you know, that's probably. You know, who wouldn't help a teammate? I would expect it.
Let me ask you this, though. It seems to me the bigger issue is this is the style of racing that we have. I mean, when you have guys who've got, you know, 16 other drivers that they're talking to on the race to plot strategy, that's the issue, really, is that that's the kind of racing that we have. The fact that when it comes to who you're going to work with, that you gravitate more towards your teammate, that to me is not surprising. What's surprising is that we've gotten to the position where guys are literally plotting with other guys and working as essentially, I can't see. I'm driving a car and I cannot see, and I have to totally trust another competitor. Now that, to me, is where you wonder, is that going to change? How interested is NASCAR in changing that dynamic?
NASCAR is interested in getting rid of the two-car tandem, I think, because the fan reaction has not been all that favorable toward it. And I think they tried some rules, and they're going to try, I think, a different cooling system, a different radiator, maybe the smaller spoiler for Daytona, to try to break up the two-car track.
In that area as opposed to different nose or something like
well,
that?
yeah, because, I mean, you're going to have a different car in 2013, and you're not going to have a different template just for Daytona and Talladega as far as the nose of the car, because in general, you want the nose and the rear of the cars to kind of match up. That probably, for anything else but restrictor plate races, that's a good thing.
Right.
I don't think that they'll get rid of, well, you can't talk to other guys on the radio either, because I think they believe it's for safety.
And the two-car draft, I think most people that I hear say, yeah, it is safer than the big multi-car draft because you're more separate.
Well, you don't listen to Dale Earnhardt Jr., do you?
Dale Earnhardt Jr. doesn't like it, but Jack Roush thinks it's safer. Jeff Burton thinks it's safer.
Certainly the pack is more spread out. It's probably safer in some ways and not as safe in other ways, but we're not really talking about safety. Let's be honest, we're talking about the show, right?
Right. But you know, as you have all these team orders, if weren't they, that's probably not good for the show either, is it?
I think it's not. I think it's not. I think it's.
I'm starting to think it's semantics. The term team orders has such a negative connotation.
That's where I'm at.
And I think maybe that's the thing. Maybe if we were just using a different term, like team loyalty or manufacturer loyalty.
But that's what it is, and it just seems to me it's evolved a little bit, Bob. Would you say from, say, Daytona this year to Talladega, 4 plate races, it seems like from the first Daytona, from the 500 to the second Talladega, there's much more recognition that we've got to have a plan going into this thing.
Why did Trevor Bayne win the Daytona 500? Because everybody else behind him couldn't figure out who to draft with to get by him.
They're still saying, do you want to be partners for this dance?
So, and then the fact that Talladega is a chase race,
right?
I think adds a whole new dynamic because why do you really care whether you finish 10th or 12th or 14th during the regular season? You're probably 2 points, 4 points, 6 points. Probably aren't going to make a huge amount of difference. But in the chase for the 12 chase guys, it's huge.
All right. For Bob Pockrass and Bassmasters, I'm Buzz Cutler. Thanks for watching. Lots more rowdy videos, so stick around, come back, check us out.
Rowdy.com.
I'm sorry, I can't work with you anymore. I can only work with Bob.
Say it like it is.
No, we agreed we're leaving you hanging out to dry.
Bob, that's not what you told me.
Say what like it is?
Maybe I'll just leave both of you out to dry.
Well, I think if we work together, then you're hung out, buddy.
Trevor Bayne.
Rowdy.com.